So you mentioned earlier on as well about some of the strategy partners that you have, and you talk about relationships, and you talk about sort of, having all of these sort of stakeholders involved. So talk to us a little bit about those relationships that you've formed over the years, and who are your sort of key partners, allies in the journey that you've had?
Well, I mean, quite clearly, our membership base are our key allies.
Yeah.
Our membership is our purpose. We value all the work that they do, but we recognise that we are there to help navigate through some of the complexity of government policy and wider sort of policy that are impacting on their ability to deliver high quality programmes. There are things that are challenging to our membership, such as the introduction of Ofsted to inspect all apprenticeship training at all levels, for example. We opposed, but actually we then conceded and supported our providers to ensure that on inspection their provision was either, outstanding or good. I like to think that we've done a very good job in that regard. Clearly, our stakeholders are government departments, DfE, HMT, so His Majesty's Treasury, for example. BEIS is clearly a critical one for us. We think actually skills and apprenticeship policy should actually go back to either the Department for Business or perhaps sit more squarely with the interests of Treasury, because they seem to have, the biggest influence over investment of the levy and where its priorities sit, rather than it being around sort of DfE, which is probably more appropriately concerned with schools. Clearly, the Institute for Apprenticeships, we've had a very interesting relationship historically, but I think actually under the leadership of Jennifer Coupland, we've had a very positive relationship around where we want the system to go. Their review of the degree apprenticeship policy really kind of, moved into the territory that was being advocated for by UVAC around mandated apprenticeships at level 6 and level 7 having a degree as opposed to not, and also integrating the degree in terms of endpoint assessment. So we've seen some real shifts that align well with our philosophy about what we want the system to do. Clearly, we work very closely with the HE regulator, the Office for Students, and for the work that the Quality Assurance Agency does in terms of adding to issues around how we monitor and measure standards and quality. But actually the mission groups, we have universities of all types and sizes in our membership. Traditionally, UVAC had its membership based firmly in the more modern bits of the sector, in the 1992 institutions, the old metropolitan universities. But we've seen a huge growth in the research intensive universities in terms of our membership. We have Cambridge, we have the research intensive universities in the main from the 14 universities that are Russell Group members, they are typically in our membership. So the mission groups are really important to us. Universities UK, Guild HE, the two statutory bodies that represent universities, but Russell Group, University Alliance, Million Plus, really important that we align our mandates, that we align our priorities with each other, because clearly we represent their members and they represent our members. But equally, the Council of Deans of Health, for example, where we have a very similarly, sort of characteristic of membership, our members are their members again. We want to kind of, be aligned in terms of the strategy that impacts on apprenticeships and skills. So really, any organisation that works, that recognises the value of university involvement, we work with very, very closely.
Canny Conversation Podcast Series 5 by Safaraz Ali.